What did you think living off-grid was going to be like when we were choosing property to buy?
Well, originally I thought it would be very different to how it is. I also like doing lots of baking in our new kitchen.
Some of you might be curious about how Rosie's educated. Rosie's also a bit of an entrepreneur, aren't you?
So to sum it all up, I like living off-grid.
Hello and welcome back to the Wildlands. Today is a Wildlands Wednesday waffle and our special guest is Rosie. Hello Rosie.
Hello.
We thought you might find it interesting to find out how our 13, soon to be 14-year-old daughter enjoys living off-grid and what you make of life on Wildlands. We've lived on Wildlands for just over a year now. What did you think living off-grid was going to be like when we were choosing property to buy?
Well, originally I thought it would be very different to how it is. Both in some aspects I thought it'd be worse and better depending on what it is. Like I thought that electric problems weren't going to get at all better when we lived off-grid, and they are much, much better now.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
I also thought things like gardening would be easier here. It isn't, because of the summer and the winter harsh weathers. All in all, it's better than I expected, which is good.
Okay, that's good. What kind of things do you enjoy about living off-grid, or is it because you enjoy living in nature, or what's great about it?
Well, I quite like that over here the seasons are really odd, so it's quite interesting looking at how we're in autumn right now, so if it were England everything would be orange and the leaves would be falling.
That's
but
true.
Over here it's like it's spring. And there's also all the interesting plants and bugs. I've seen more types of beetle than I thought I would have in my lifetime just in like 1 year here.
Yeah, and what about things like praying mantis?
Yes, there's lots of mantis around here. We've had a few less than normal this year, but they are one of my favourite bugs from in the house, and I never thought I'd actually see one.
Rosie's a big fan of bugs and creatures and things like that, aren't you?
There's lots of interesting birds here too, a lot that would be considered quite rare in some bird books and things, but over here you just see them flying around randomly, like hoopoes.
So that's a good thing for you, a good reason for living in nature.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you spend your days? Obviously every day is different, but what kinds of things do you get up to?
A lot of time in the day I will spend doing various crafts and projects. I almost always have several massive projects going on at once, although I'm not that good at actually bringing them to completion. I also like doing lots of baking in our new kitchen, because it has all the equipment you would need to make a good bake.
On a big oven.
Yes.
That's exciting for you, isn't it?
I can fit proper like loaf tins and tart trays in there and things.
Oh, we love Rosie's baking.
I'm the go-to baker.
Yep, and I love Rosie's dinners as well. Rosie usually cooks for us about once a week. Sometimes twice if she's feeling fancy. She's got a particular idea in mind, and you cook the same as we do, don't you?
Yeah.
Cook from scratch. You tend to make stuff
I have
up.
a particular cooking style, which is that I'll decide if I want to make a soup or a pasta, and then I just chuck all my ingredients in, whatever I fancy eating that day. And all of my spices are things that you've said multiple times you would never try my spice combo.
No, it's crazy. She just chucks in some of this, some of that. I cook from recipes and I'm stood to one side aghast, but it always tastes fantastic. So
yeah, it's just like I take everything on the shelf that smells nice, chuck it in a pot, and it's amazing.
yeah. Some of you might be curious about how Rosie's educated, given that she's 13 and we haven't mentioned school at all. Do you go to school here in Portugal?
I do not go to school here in Portugal.
Did you go to school when we lived in the UK?
I did, but I didn't get very far at all.
No, we took Rosie out of school when she was 6. She's been home educated ever since. Are you happy with that? Would you rather be in school?
I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah.
I like not having to go to school or constantly having the pressure of doing work and things.
I think Rosie's actually quite self-motivated, so when she decides that there's something that she wants to learn about or something that she wants to achieve, she sets off to do it. So it works very well for us.
Like recently I've taken a random interest in plant biology, and I've been learning that from books and online resources that I have. And yeah, I do know the basics of that.
We've also enrolled Rosie in Clonlara, partly because it was a requirement for our visa, but having done that, it actually looks like it's got some really good ways of learning in there. We're just about to start working on those, aren't we? Get some projects on the go. Rosie's also a bit of an entrepreneur, aren't you? Business lady.
I am.
Want to tell us about that?
A couple of years ago, I took an interest in using a material known as resin, which starts off as a clear liquid, and then when you cure it under UV or from air exposure, then it turns into a glassy plastic-like substance. I took an interest in using that with my polymer clay crafting, but I eventually learned how to make that into jewellery instead of using it with clay. So now I make my own jewellery out of resin, and I used to sell it at markets mainly, but at the moment I have it in a shop.
In Fundao, she has her own shelf in a shop, which is very cool. And I should imagine people will want to know, if you don't go to school and you live out here in the middle of nowhere, what do you do about friends?
Well,
do you have any friends?
I do certainly have friends. Normally I'll meet people through either parents meeting up, and then the people they're meeting with have kids, and then we get along. But there's also various community events like potlucks and meetups specifically for kids. And every so often I'll meet someone that has an interest we share.
Yep.
And then we'll not mostly message, but we can meet up every so often. Normally about once a week, see them.
Yeah. Rosie's got a particular pair of friends who are sisters who it was absolutely amazing because you all share so many similar interests, don't you? The kind of books that they read, the kind of games that they like to play, specific things to do with anime, and you all enjoy art. And they're all really close in age, and they live just up the road, just 15 minutes, which is mad,
very
isn't it?
convenient.
It's perfect. So it's great to have good friends and to be able to, they've had sleepovers and we come around each other's houses. We're good friends with the parents as well. So that's really nice. And as you say, the meetups as well. Good for meeting new people, same for us. And given that you're such an animal lover, which is your favourite animal that we have?
We have?
Yeah, can you pick one?
Out of the individual, that's a hard question.
Well, we've got the cats, the dogs, the chickens.
I'd say out of the groups of them, the cats, but out of individuals it becomes a lot harder to pick.
You love the chickens, don't you?
Yeah, within our chickens I would say that I really like Flapjack and Betty. I also love Opal, so they're my favourite 3 chickens.
Favourite chickens. Are there any other animals that you want to get here on Wildlands? You've got your sights set on, donkeys or peacocks or anything?
Peacocks? Well, I didn't know that was an option. Now my sights are set on peacocks. I think we should get those, that'd be brilliant. But I do quite like the idea of getting ducks, because I've always kind of wanted to get ducks. They're lovely animals, but there is a downside to the chickens, which we can't really travel that much now that we have them. So if we were to get more animals, then that would mean it's pretty much permanently we would need an animal keeper. But if that negative didn't exist, then I'd definitely want to get ducks or geese at some point.
Okay, imagine we had a live-in animal keeper, so we could go away whenever we wanted and travel. What other animals would you want?
Then I would probably want to adopt about 50 more cats. We just have a bunch of farm cats all sleeping around. I don't know if we can manage another dog. There's enough with him with 2 of them already.
Yeah, no more dogs. No more dogs.
But big pen of ducks and a duck pond.
Donkey?
Yeah, we could have a donkey.
Oh, you can have a donkey.
Chuck some geese in with the ducks.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe have a falcon or 2.
All right. Earlier, we mentioned briefly, you said you like going on the laptop and getting that it's great that you've got more electricity and you weren't expecting to have that here. Can you tell us more about the electricity requirements that you have?
All right.
And how has it been over the last couple of years being in a van compared to now?
Well, when we started out in the house, if I wanted to go on the laptop, then I could just go upstairs and go on it no matter what the power was, because there were no power problems. And when we started on the van, we had the van's battery. At first I could normally go take us down to about 80 on the laptop, which was about 4 hours or something, so that was plenty of time. But that kind of decreased depending on the season, so I never really had unlimited access to the computer whenever I fancied going on it. But now that Mum has fitted us an amazing new solar system with all the amazing electricity skills, and now I can go on the laptop pretty much as whenever I want for as long as I want. Has near infinite batteries.
Yep, Rosie is a keen gamer, and as well as handheld devices, a lot of the games are on the laptop and they're power hungry.
Yeah.
So although we do have, you know, our little movable battery boxes, it's been a real game changer, not just for us, but for Rosie to be able to game for as long as she likes and not have a time limit having to come off because, you know, we've got to preserve our electricity. So that must be really good. And I'm sure, you know, I think one of the things you said off camera was that a downside of living on the land is that your bedroom isn't very big.
Yes.
Because we're still in the van, but we're going to build a cabin with bedrooms and that solves that issue.
It does.
I don't think, are there any issues that we can't get round living out here? Any big downsides?
Well, a lot of them will be sorted when we have a cabin. Things like the extreme temperatures we have at some ends of the year, that'll be sorted when we have aircon or heating.
Yep.
Well, cold isn't much of a problem because of big fluffy stuff, but in the summer.
Well, if you've really got to struggle to think of downsides, that's a good sign, isn't it? Any big pluses to living this way?
Well, here on the land, I've got my own little sections, about 2 terraces. I've got, on an upper layer, I've got my tent, which is just full of craft supplies. It used to have an inflatable mattress and some drawers and things in the part that would be the sleeping part, but that's been a little bit...
It's been your chill out area, hasn't it? Chill out and crafting, so that's in a tent. What else do you have down there?
I've also got on a lower terrace a trampoline. We've got a little bench for sitting outside when it's suitable outside temperatures. Big trampoline, very big. And at some point in the future, I have a couple various plans for crafty workshop areas I might build down there. One of them being a clay house that I think I'd be able to tackle on my own, and the other one being a massive hobbit hole that I was planning before we came off grid.
That's right.
I still really want to do that, but it would cost more than we have.
Well, stick it on the list of things to think about.
Yeah.
So just before we go, people sometimes ask why you're not in our videos or why you're not in all of them. Would you like to answer that?
Well, a lot of the time I'm either doing my own things in the day, like craft projects and things, and I don't like being caught in a camera when I'm not camera ready. But also filming does take quite a while sometimes.
It does.
Don't particularly dislike being in videos, just most of the time you're filming in the mornings.
We do, yeah. It's actually been very hard to find some decent light filming outside today because the sun is so high and it's so bright and it gives you shadows, which is why we're sitting in the shade, because otherwise you've got the sun in your face. So we film early and Rosie doesn't get up early because she doesn't need to.
No, not up early.
Doesn't matter. So to sum up, any last remarks from you?
Living off grid is good.
Living off grid is good. Yeah, heard it here first.
Maybe I'll go on the premiere when it's premiere time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I could nick one of you or Daddo's phones and answer some comments.
There we go. So if you've got any questions for Rosie, then do drop them in the comments or the live chat. She would love to answer them.
Yeah.
Yeah? Cool.
I can do that.
That kind of wraps us up for today. Thanks very much for watching. If you have any other comments, do leave them below. If you haven't subscribed and you'd like to, then go ahead and click the subscribe button. We put out 2 videos a week, one on a Wednesday, it's a waffler, and one on a Sunday, which is more of the day-to-day, what we've been up to, or sometimes our builds. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
So to sum it all up, I like living off grid.